greatest places in the world to live, but we also know it's one of the most stressful. And stress can really damage people's lives. While stress is a common experience, there is a lot of fear and shame about asking for help. This training module will give you guidance on how to help people in your community to better manage their stress and improve their well-being. It will teach you how to define stress, identify the sources of stress, recognize the signs of stress, determine which stress signs indicate something serious, and show you how to engage with community members, teach you about stress management techniques and their benefits, and finally, it will show you when and how to connect people to mental health providers or support networks. All of us can benefit by managing stress to enhance our well-being. Let's start by learning about the 3 different types of stress.
Well, it's a lot going on. My name is Diane, and I've been in school. I'm a student, a doctoral student, so I've been working on that, trying to finish before the deadline is up. During the midst of my studies, my dad became sick and subsequently died. So there was a lot of challenges in terms of continuing with school, working a full-time job, being his primary caregiver, dealing with all the sibling dynamics, and knowing that I'm trying to help my sister wherever I could with her daughter.
Diane is experiencing a few of the common sources of stress. There are many different sources of stress. Some are obvious, but some aren't. They generally fall into 5 categories: health and health care, economic stability, education, social context, and your neighborhood. These are known as stressors, and they affect everyone to some degree.
So the sort of things that stress me out are work, money.
I would say crowds makes me stress.
Yeah, and she will stress me sometimes.
Physically, oh my gosh, insomnia.
I definitely feel flushed, frustrated, aggravated to the point where it tenses you up.
I can be like that's feeling really bad inside me.
Yeah, I get angry and cranky when I'm stressed, yeah.
Is that normal?
I think it shouldn't be, but in this day and age it is, sadly enough.
She's right. These are all common experiences of stress. But sometimes they're combined with other symptoms that indicate something more serious is going on. It's not always easy to recognize when stress puts a person at risk. Let's take a moment to learn how to distinguish between the common signs of stress and the more serious signs.
You have a paper towel, a napkin around?
Diane and her sister, Chandra, are good examples of the different ways in which stress can affect people. For Diane, the recent problems have only had a minor impact.
But she's not really talking about this major situation. When things were most intense, I would get headaches. I do have a history of migraines, and so that would really trigger it, and I would find myself needing to get more sleep. I could go to sleep, but I might wake up with lots of things on my mind.
What Diane is experiencing are typical signs of stress. But other people might have a different experience of stress, even in the same situation.
And some of the kids get so stressed out with
I get stressed out.
Diane's sister Chandra has been living with some of the same sources of stress, as well as a daughter with Asperger's syndrome. But for her, the symptoms have been different.
Migraines popping in the back of my head with ringing tones in my ears. I would have anxiety a lot of times. I couldn't sleep. I've also had developed high blood pressure from being stressed out. Also, my sciatica, my back problems, the stress just started to take a toll on my whole body.
Chandra is showing signs of suffering serious stress, which may need attention. Before we go any further, let's think about how to spot these signs among people we know. Chandra was feeling distressed and didn't know where to turn. So her sister encouraged her to visit their priest, Reverend Alfonso Wyatt.
Knowing Alfonso, I just took a chance and said, what do I have to lose? I'm already fighting this battle alone. A little bit of information can't hurt.
But for Chandra, it was very important that she would be listened to without judgment.
I didn't want to hear, you could have did this differently, you could have did that differently, you could have came to me sooner, why did you wait so long to ask for my help? So those are definitely words I didn't want to hear, because I have heard those words so many times from different people, and I didn't want to actually hear that from Alfonso.
It turns out that starting a conversation about stress can be, stressful. So let's take a look at some helpful techniques.
Well, the reality is that people need help.
It was at this church on Sunday that Reverend Alfonso used the 4 steps to engage with Chandra about the stress she was feeling.
I remember when we talked and when you shared, and it took all that I had to be so present and to let you know that I was not only hearing you, but that I was feeling you. And not knowing what we were going to talk about, but knowing that whatever it was, that it was significant. And I wanted to communicate that I hear you at the level that you were. What were you thinking as you were talking to me?
I was thinking, if it's no one else that I can go to or trust and not be judged, that it would be you.
It was an emotional conversation for both of them, but it left them filled with hope.
I think listening is the first thing, and being inviting, non-judgmental, reaching out, encouraging that we're going to get through this, putting myself in, that we are going to get through this, not that you're by yourself or this or that. But it's also, you can't help if you don't know what the story is and what the needs are. So listening to me and not dysfunctional rescuing or maybe minimizing some of the things that sometimes people do, I didn't want to do that. And while I wanted, and we did pray, but I also knew that after the prayer, there needed to be action.
Chandra was now open to new ideas and assistance, and Reverend Alfonso's involvement led to some big improvements. Now it's time to learn about some stress management techniques to suggest in this situation. Thanks to Reverend Alfonso's suggestions, Chandra has started practicing some self-care techniques.
I take care of myself by going to the gym. I love bowling. I find myself sewing. Sometimes I'll just work because I love the work that I do. And I listen to gospel music as well to help me just soothe out my emotions and get in touch with myself. And I'm going to budget.
This self-care is making a big difference in Chandra's mental well-being. And those around her have noticed.
I definitely think that you're doing a lot better, and it looks like you're in more control. And sometimes, I think that you have contributed to the stress because you think you can't do it, and I see that you can do it, and I'm proud of the effort that you're putting through.
So overall, things is coming together. I'm not as stressed as I was before, and I know there's some more coming, but I think I'm pretty well prepared now to just handle whatever comes my way.
I think she's turned a corner. Life is about turning corners. And everybody's had one of those moments where they may have questioned if they were able to go on. And so she has turned a corner and at a different space. And it was so happy, and so good to see her, the person I remember.